Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwan, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday the 15th of November 2024, including the new Prime Video crime drama Cross, starring straight outta Compton's Aldous Hodge, and Disney Plus drama Say Nothing, which is set in Northern Ireland during the Troubles.
And we'll also be bidding farewell to Kevin Costner's hit Western saga Yellowstone on Paramount Plus and checking out Season 2 of dystopian Apple TV subterranean sci-fi Silo. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Hugh Bonneville, oh yes, of Paddington fame, he's joined the cast of Paramount Plus spy thriller The Agency, which we've talked about before, but he will also narrate the Apple TV wildlife series The Secret Lives of Animals. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Well, Ben Shepherd is there anything this man can't do? He will host a new ITVX reality show, The Summit, in which 14 people compete for a cash prize as they scale a peak in New Zealand.
Good stuff. Well, we are all about the drama this week, and we are going to start over on Apple TV, arriving on Friday the 15th of November. It's Season 2 of the sci-fi series Silo, and here's a clip.
For as long as we can remember, everyone that goes outside is killed by the dangerous toxins of an unsafe world. Juliet Nichols asked to go out. She was a fighter.
Warning, oxygen levels low.
But she died a hero to the silo.
Well, I think we previewed Season 1 of Silo, which is a great dystopian sci-fi series set in a post-apocalyptic world, where 10,000 people are living underground in the titular silo, which is on many, many, many levels. The conceit has lots of interesting elements. So, storyline-wise, there's this engineer called Juliet. She's played by Rebecca Ferguson, who's great in this real kind of all-action role. And she became the sheriff, and she started investigating the suspicious death of her lover. In the silo, they don't know anything about the history of what happened before this rebellion. There's no history, so they kind of repurpose everything, because obviously nothing new is being made. They're living underground, and as far as they're aware, it's not possible to live on the outside. And occasionally someone says they want to go outside, and if they request that, they're allowed to. They go outside and they do what's called the cleaning. So they clean the camera lens, which gives people a view of the outside world, and then they basically collapse and die because the conditions are so harsh. But Juliet and a few other people think that there's some kind of conspiracy going on, that actually you can live on the outside. All right, so that's a lot of backstory anyway, but it's got some good people in it. It's got Tim Robbins, plays Bernard, who is he's the head of security in the silo. You've got the rapper Common. I'm sure you're familiar with him, Hannah. He plays Bernard's henchman Sims. And anyway, where we left off was that Juliet, she was going to go outside and do the cleaning. So she's going to find out, is it just a wasteland outside where you're going to die? Or is that a hoax? I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, that's the jumping off point for Season 2. So she is going to go outside. We've got some new additions to the cast. We've got Steve Zahn from That Thing You Do, the Tom Hanks film. He's going to be joining as a character called Solo. Yeah, so there are going to be, right from the off, some astonishing reveals, which I'm not going to reveal. Oh, it's got Harriet Walter in it as well. I really liked the world building of Season 1 because it's such a great idea. And obviously there are a lot of dystopian post-apocalyptic films and TV shows, but I do think this is very original. Who knows, we may have to end up living underground if climate change carries on the way it's going. But yeah, I recommend this. It's based on some books, and it's very well done, and the sets look absolutely incredible. So yeah, I watched season 1, and I'm going to watch season 2, and I really enjoyed episode 1 of season 2. It's fantastic. What do you think, Hannah?
This kind of stuff is just really creepy. I just find it kind of, the idea that something's a post-apocalyptic world. It's kind of like do you really want to survive anything like that anyway? And as you say, not kind of spoiling what they find, but the idea that they can only live in this silo and just how claustrophobic that must be. But I think they do this really well. Like you say, there's a few good names in there. It's not something that I would normally choose to watch, I don't think. It's sort of, yeah, I must admit, I sort of almost feel claustrophobic myself watching it. And you need to watch it and be kind of paying attention at all times, I think, with something like this. But from what I've seen so far, I really quite like it, and I probably will continue to watch.
Over on Disney Plus, arriving on Thursday, November the 14th, we have a new drama series called Say Nothing. And here's a clip.
Joining the IRA was the noblest thing a person could do. The goal was to kill as many soldiers and as many policemen as possible.
I would die for a united Ireland. I'm ready for our next assignment.
No balls on that wee girl. They say they're fighting in the name of the people.
All right, listen up!
If we want to send a message, we just need to be louder.
Yeah, as you say, this is on Disney Plus, and it's a 9-part drama, and this is really quite chilling, I think. I don't know how you feel. I'll find out about that in a minute, Ian. But for me, it's the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. It's I remember travelling into London, in my younger years, and there used to not be. I don't know if their bins have even returned to Waterloo, but and to sort of big stations. But there were always concerns, and you hear less of it, really. Of course, you do now. But this is set during those big troubles in Northern Ireland, and it really brings to life the passion and the feeling and the sense of upset, the disruption, and of course the devastation that was caused. So we've got Josh Feenan, who you'll know from The Responder, is playing IRA leader Jerry Adams, who, of course, as we all know, has denied any involvement in this terrorist organisation, and I think he does an amazingly good job. For me anyway, you're brought into this immediately. It's action packed. It's so heartfelt, and every single person brings something to this, and you can see that they're willing to give everything for their beliefs. And I think for me, with a little bit of a potted history, all of this, it kind of fills the gaps. It fills the gaps too. So it's based on the book by Patrick Radden Keefe, and it starts in it's about 1972 with the real life kidnapping of Jean McConville. Now, the thing is that it's quite convoluted because it's so action packed. You jump around, but the whole point of this, and this comes back to the title, and I hope I'm articulating myself properly, but you can't say anything. Say nothing. You don't say anything. You don't say anything at all, and you accept the consequences of what actions you take, and being brought up in families where you solely believe this is the right way. And I think you see the feelings of both sides of this, which I think is, we only see one piece of news coming through, don't you? We only see what we only know what we hear, I should say, from the news, and this kind of shows both sides. But it's incredibly pacey, really quite sad in places, really upsetting, and also just unbelievable because, of course, it's it's based on truth and what happened. Ian, what did you think?
I really liked it. I thought it was great, and of course, remember the Stephen Knight drama, This Town, that sort of delved a little bit into the IRA bombing campaign in mainland England. Not surprisingly, in the UK, we're kind of fed very much the British perspective of the Troubles. But this, I think, is really good at, as you say, explaining, all right, why did people join the IRA? Just, the sense of tremendous grievance that Irish Catholics in the north and in the south felt, not only about the partition of the country, and then partitioning countries, which Britain has done a fair bit over the years, it never ends well, unsurprisingly. So yeah, I think it's great drama. As you say, it starts with this notorious kidnapping by the IRA of this single mother who's got loads of kids, presumably to be taken to her death. And then you kind of got two timelines mainly playing out. So you've got these two sisters who are gradually becoming radicalized and joining the IRA and getting involved in the fight against the Brits. So you see that happening. They're played by Lola Pettigrew and Hazel Doupe. They're called Dolores and Marion Price. And then years later, you've got Maxine Peake as the older version of Dolores, she's giving an interview to someone who is sort of getting testimony about what happened back then from people who were involved. And so she's telling her story, and then we see that reenacted. Yeah, it's quite an odd one in that, as you say, they flash up after every episode the disclaimer that Gerry Adams denies any involvement in the IRA, but of course he's a main player in the story as an IRA leader, so that's slightly odd. But I think it's really well done. It's got Anthony Boyle as well, who was in Shard Lake and Masters of the Air, and he plays a key player in the IRA, the strategist Brendan Hughes. He's great in this, so it adds a new perspective, I think, to the story of the Troubles. And I found episode 1 compelling. Over on Paramount Plus, it arrived on Monday the 11th of November. We have the second part of season 5 of the hit western Yellowstone. And here's a clip.
Our family legacy is this ranch.
And I'm a protector of my life.
Old lions die in the jaws of younger lions, and you are the younger lion.
This knife, where's my blood?
This knife, where's mine?
We were brothers now.
Till we get in this fight, we can figure out who to fight and how to fight them.
So Yellowstone has been a massive hit for Paramount Plus. It's kind of a contemporary western, I guess. I grew up very much in the age of the TV western, things like, The Virginian and High Chaparral. They were hugely popular. Anyway, you've probably heard of this one, even if you don't have Paramount Plus, because Kevin Costner stars in it as this patriarch, John Dutton, who owns a cattle ranch called Yellowstone in Montana. And the story is about him and his family facing various threats to their land. There are various people who want to get hold of it for different reasons. And then you've got Wes Bentley playing his son Jamie, who is a politician. And you may remember him as Ricky Fitz in American Beauty. Yes, the Kevin Spacey film. This is the end for Yellowstone, supposedly, and there are just 6 episodes left. And there was a hiatus, partly because Costner and the makers of Yellowstone were kind of having a dispute over scheduling. Okay, so there was much speculation as to, was Costner even going to be involved in these final episodes? And he does appear in the trailer, where you're going to find out what's happening to his character quite early on. When we left off, so John Dutton had become the governor, and Jamie had kind of threatened to destroy his father's political career, but his sister, Beth, had also blackmailed Jamie. So it basically kind of ended up with on both sides, they were kind of scheming to bump the other one off. Okay, so that's where we left off. I sort of feel, looking back over Yellowstone, I mean, it started incredibly strongly. It was a fantastic kind of sprawling Western saga. But I think some of the plotting went a little bit off the rails, considering it's a family drama. I mean, the most pretty outlandish things were happening in it, like a lot of action with hired assassins going on and all this sort of thing. But it's been a huge hit, and there've been quite a lot of spin-offs already. There are 2 more in the pipes, a prequel series, another prequel series called 1944, and a spin-off with Michelle Pfeiffer called The Madison, which I think we've flagged up before. So, yeah, how are they going to tie it all together? Rip, the cowboy, and Beth, John's daughter, are very popular characters. And Jamie, I think, is a terrific character as well. Will any of them get their own spin-off series? Who knows? But it's been a great ride, Yellowstone. It's been terrific. It's a shame that there was this dispute with Costner that means it's ending in this particular way, which I'm not sure will satisfy kind of hardcore fans. But yeah, as ever, it's a really good watch, a really good contemporary Western. What did you think, Hannah?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we've talked about this before, haven't we? And I think that, like you say, it's a massive shame, kind of all these troubles that will, in a way, as you say, not necessarily give people what they want. But I can't quite believe you have people over for dinner. What are you watching? Oh, I'm watching Yellowstone. It's really caused a ripple, hasn't it? People are really talking about it. They've really loved it. They've done something really different with this, which I think is good, because it's a genre that is sort of well trod, if you like. So something very different here, and I think it is a great shame that it kind of ends where it does. Do you think they could ever come back from it again, or do you think that fallout is just too much?
I pretty much think the door is closed for Costner now. And anyway, he went off to work on his own Western project, didn't he, as well? So, but you know, I guess, you know, you don't want things to roll on forever. So maybe it is time for the original Yellowstone to finish. And there are plenty of other spin-offs to choose from in the meantime. We've given you a Western drama. We've given you a sci-fi drama. We've given you a historical, political drama. Well, now we're going to give you a crime drama. Yes. Arriving on Prime Video on Thursday the 14th of November, it is Cross. And here's a clip.
What do you do, Alex?
I'm a detective.
You mean you're a cop?
Metro PD.
We joined the force together.
No, I got it.
You the doctor?
PhD, psychology.
Let's see how long you last.
But you can call me Detective Alex Cross.
Yes, well, lots of you will know hero Alex Cross because there have been a lot of best-selling books about Alex Cross, and of course there has been 3 movies too, where he's been played by Morgan Freeman and Tyler Perry. So this is a big deal to bring this, you know, not back, but to do it again in a different way. And I always my jury's always out, if you like, because I think when something's been done so well, do you really want to do it again? But there are 30 best-selling books, so I guess there is territory that hasn't been covered, and I guess that's what happens here. So Aldous Hodge plays the part of Alex Cross, and he does a really good job of it. I'll go back to kind of the storyline in a moment, but it is pacey, it's creepy in places, it's a bit frightening in places, when people are in places you don't think they expect them to be. Jumpy is the word, jumpy, it makes you jump. And then it's kind of cut with some strange things, because he's not a bad looking chap, I have to say, but there's kind of this weird part where he kind of is in the shower and I don't think he's wearing anything at all, actually. It doesn't, for me, it just jarred a bit with the general, I suppose how kind of, he's got a vulnerability, this main character, but he's also really manly and attractive, and kind of you feel like he could overcome absolutely anything. And I suppose they want to show that vulnerability, and they do that by him not wearing an awful lot. But I don't know, it just jarred a little bit for me. But see what you think. It starts where he's grieving his murdered wife, and he's trying to hold himself together for the sake of the two children. His best friend is worried about him. His family are worried about him, but he doesn't want to seek help. He like a lot of people, they don't want to give in to that, which is possibly not the way to deal with grief. But doesn't want to give in, wants to be strong, and kind of just throws himself into work. And he throws himself into this investigation over the death of a civil rights activist. And it all looks like it's going to be a suicide. I mean, this is a storyline that we've seen a number of times before, where you think it's one thing, but that person's got a gut feeling that it's not suicide, that there is foul play, and it becomes their personal mission to find out exactly what's going on. But of course, he starts to put himself at risk, his family at risk, his children at risk, and it's pacey. It's as I say, it's a real kind of you really jump at points in this, and you can see him. He's so kind of cool. It's sort of I can't explain how he is, just as a really calm character, but even he gets rattled at times. But he's rattled when it gets close to the people that he cares about, as opposed to about him, which makes him even more attractive, in my opinion. It's really good. I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. I think it's quite different. I think he does well in the part, and I think he does well to show that vulnerability. As I say, there's a couple of bits that jar for me, but in the main, I think you'll enjoy it. What do you think, Ian?
I did like it, and of course you had Morgan Freeman played Alex Cross in Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider, 2 films, and yeah, as you say, Aldous Hodge's version of Cross, he is cool. He's good looking. He's buff, and yeah, he's a cop, and he's also a forensic psychologist, so he can kind of get inside the minds of criminals. And the first time we see him, he's interrogating this particularly nasty criminal who's sort of playing mind games with the cops, and because of his skills, he kind of says to the guy, you've already confessed to the crime and you don't even realise it. And I won't say how it happens, but yeah, I love, the idea of a character like that who gets the better of these kind of evil masterminds, that's appealing straight away. I also love the fact that sort of the opening titles and all these beautiful shots of black life in Washington. So I kind of like that angle of it. It kind of a little bit schlocky, the actual main crime drama story. So it's about a serial killer called Fanboy who is killing people who look like previous serial killers. Yeah. So yeah, he's got an underground lair. Cross is on the case. We also see right at the beginning how he lost his wife. I'm pretty sure that the creepy guy in the interview room that he gets the better of at the beginning, I'm pretty sure we're going to see him again. And he's great. He's really over the top in his performance, but it really works. I think the leads are great. Yeah, the story perhaps a little bit hokey, but enjoyable. Now we've got to that time, Hannah, where we find out what the hell you've been binge watching this week.
Well, I tell you what, it's not often that I do this, but there was lots of hype around Paddington in Peru. So I booked tickets. It's rare that you see a cinema so full, isn't it? But it was full to the brim, absolutely busting with people, which was lovely to see, although the rustling of sweet packets annoyed me. That's another thing altogether. But Paddington in Peru, go and watch it. It's fun. I don't think it's as good as the second one, I'm going to say it. I just don't think it is, but it's lovely and it's warm and yes, it'll give you that warm, fuzzy feeling, but I don't think it's as good as the second one. And I actually thought that the second one was better than the first one, which is very, very rare to feel like that, I think. How about you, Ian?
I've been checking out some old movies on BBC iPlayer. So Deliverance, the John Borman film about a canoeing trip into the backwoods that goes horribly wrong. Got Burt Reynolds in it and John Voight, all sorts of good people. And I also watched Jude, which is based on Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure, starring Christopher Eccleston and Kate Winslet, who are both brilliant in it, but it is quite depressing. Now we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offering. So what is on the Binge Watch menu, Hannah?
It's Murder by the Book, as Leslie Manville and Tim McCullen reunite for Anthony Horowitz's new time-hopping literary whodunit, Moonflower Murders. Gosh, that's a bit of a tongue twister.
Good stuff. And fear not, Yellowstone fans, because Yellowstone meets Dallas in the explosive new Paramount Plus Western series Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton and set in the Texan oil business. So we look forward to those and much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners,
Keep watching!